This podcast brought to you by Goulburn Australia. Make the move to Goulburn and enjoy a better work-life balance. It could also be better for your business. For city-like services and a peaceful country lifestyle, visit goulburnaustralia.com.au.
The Informed Investor, thanks to Century 21. Smarter, bolder, faster. Go to century21.com.au.
Let's find out what's making news in the world of real estate. The chairman of Century 21, who knows every house in every suburb in Australia, Charles Toby, joins us on the line. How are you?
Thank you, Steve. Yeah,
You do?
Well, thank you. Yes. Well, I really love it. It's been a passion for so many years now. I guess I've got to keep up to date with what's going on.
Here's a test for you, because we're going to go through some of the suburbs in a minute that have been well performing. Where's Watanabe?
That is a really interesting place, actually. It comes up quite a lot in conversation. And over the years, people have asked me about even investing in Watanabe.
Yes. Where is it?
Oh, come on. You really want me to tell you?
Yeah, come on. Give me your inside info.
Well, Watanabe is up near the Central Coast. It's a great little spot. The Central Coast itself is a great spot, but Watanabe is sort of outside of the Central Coast, pretty much on the other side of the highway. Have you played golf there?
I probably have played golf up there somewhere. There's a few suburbs on the Central Coast in those parts of New South Wales that are performing pretty well. Lake Munmore is another one. So these, am I getting the impression here when I read through this list, and we'll go through some of the others in a minute, that there is a bit of a fleeing from the crowded cities out to some of our closer regional areas? Is that a bit of a movement, you reckon?
I'd say so. I haven't had a chance to look at the list, but I'd definitely say so, because when you look at the equity that's been gained in the capital cities, as we've talked about so many times about Hobart, a lot of people have gone, hey, you know what, I can either buy a holiday home, and when you think about the Central Coast and all the lakes around Central Coast, and not only that, the ocean, there's so many properties where you can actually capture water views in those areas. It's not surprising to me. And as with Hobart, it's not surprising to me, because a lot of people would love to retire in Hobart. And so hence when they gained equity in Melbourne, they went that way. Same as what you and I spoke about with Adelaide. When people gained equity in Adelaide, they went down the coast. And you know how many properties you can buy. And there's really very few places in Australia where you can buy property overlooking the ocean for fantastic prices, and Adelaide's one of those.
I was in the southern suburbs of Adelaide on the weekend. I mentioned at the beginning of the program the Victory Hotel at Sellex Hill Road, which is just south of McLaren Vale. Fantastic pub, the best pub I've ever been to.
I have been there on the way down to Lady Bay down.
Yes, yep.
Down the way, yeah. I played golf down Lady Bay a very, very long time ago.
Of course you did.
You know, all what's the council area called now? It starts with an O. I've forgotten it now.
Onkaparinga.
Onkaparinga, that's it. That goes all the way down there, and there's just some stunning places. And you and I spoke about Karakalinga and how fantastic that place is. And the ocean views and what you can buy a property for. I think we're very blessed in this country that even to this day there's still some magnificent coastal areas for people to retire, and those that have been fortunate enough to own property, particularly in Sydney and Melbourne over the last 5 or 6 years, have gained so much capital growth that they're now in a position to go to these wonderful places.
Yeah, and anyone listening to us across 3RW in Melbourne or any of our network stations all the way down to Warrnambool, I mean, if you're thinking about retiring out of Melbourne and you were going to go outside of the Melbourne suburbs, don't discount Adelaide, and don't particularly discount the southern suburbs of South Australia of Adelaide, because as Charles just said, there's some brilliant places. You feel like you're in Tuscany. I always describe it as Australia's Tuscany. It's incredible when you get down there.
I still get that little township wrong. What was the name of the township you corrected me on? Down the south of
Karakalinga.
No, up from Karakalinga. There's a township, and I said it and you corrected me. Not that I got the location wrong, it was the way I pronounced it. But
Aldinga.
Aldinga. I call it Aldinga, that's right. And
Aldinga.
Those areas, like Adelaide itself, is a stunning tourist location. But as I say, the South Coast and McLaren Vale, up further up north into the Barossa Valley, up through Gawler, up into that area. There's some great places, really great places.
You've got an international airport in South Australia. You can get in and out of the airport easily. It's not as crowded and they don't charge as much for parking. The traffic around Adelaide is minuscule. I mean, they whinge if they get stuck in traffic for more than 5 minutes. So it's look, you and I have been raving about South Australia and Adelaide for some time. There's a hell of a lot of worse places to live than go and live in Adelaide, let me tell you.
Well, actually, Steve, the auction clearance rates in the last few weeks have shown Adelaide clearance rates higher than this time last year. Now, this week just gone by, only Brisbane and Adelaide were higher than this time last year. And so those two capital cities, along with Perth, have been the ones that seem to be getting the most attention and consistently. I mean, Canberra was the highest clearance rate with 63.3% for the week. But if I keep going back to Adelaide and Brisbane and Perth, those are the three marketplaces, and we focused on them quite a lot during our discussion this year. And again, Adelaide has proven itself. When I look at the rental returns, two capital cities have been going negative, and that's Sydney, mind you, and Darwin. And the other capital cities have been going positive, have certainly been Melbourne and Adelaide. So I still think there's so much opportunity in that capital city. Yeah,
Melbourne last weekend, this time last year, 71.3% clearance, down to 59.1%, and Sydney on the weekend, 65.5% last year, down to 58.6%. So there's a clear trend there, isn't there?
And there is a big trend. The interesting part about it is the number of auctions. Sydney had 662 auctions, and Melbourne had 810. I mean, you look back this time last year, there were a few hundred more in each of those capital cities. Even though the amount of stock being advertised has been climbing each week, and we're now at 9.63% more stock this week than this time last week and this time last year. The interesting thing that's happening right now is that what's slowing the market down, and there are agents out there screaming for more business. It's not the clearance rates, it's not the number of listings, it's not the lack of buyers, it's the banks. And there have been a significantly higher decline in mortgage approvals over the last month than we have seen in an incredibly long time.
Absolutely. 100%. I was going to say that to you. I think bank finance is really having an impact now. Thank you, Charles. I'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, Steve.
Charles Tarbey, Executive Chairman, Century 21.